So going back to the life and times of our king, King David, that in the world that we live in, which is a world to some extent, which is dog eat dog, we try to keep the real destruction away from us. We try to live as nice of lives as we possibly can. But the swirl of war is always around, even if it's just a traffic accident. There are opposing forces that are constantly coming at us. So here we have that the King Saul, which in Hebrew is pronounced Shaul. But King Shaul is from the tribe of Benjamin. So the tribe of Benjamin, these are names that you might find, and this is sort of like the northern part of, or the southern part of the Shomron. This is Benjamin over this area here. Here is the most important place. It's Jerusalem. So around Jerusalem are all these other names. These are places that exist today. And let's see if I can find where Hebron is. Where's Hebron on my map? I don't see it. Having trouble finding it. There it is. So between these two areas, which are really not that far away from each other, David in Eretz, this is like the center of Eretz Yehuda, the land of Yehuda. And he has been appointed or crowned king over Yehuda. But there's another family, that is the family of King Saul, who's in Benjamin. And the two are actually border each other. Now in Kabbalistic language, these two things have lots of importance, and you go back to Yosef again, who's also from the tribe. He goes along with the tribe of Benjamin because they have the same mother, which is Rachel Imenu. So all of this is a pool of something very, very important, and it's going to become settled around Jerusalem. But right now, it's more settled here around Hebron. And we just had we had a battle between the two, and the tribes of Yehuda, the tribes of King David's men, came out on top. Let's go to another. Again, this is just a real quick look at this, is the Sefer Shmuel here, which is also called the Book of Samuel 2, number 2, the base. Okay, and this is put out by Judaic books. I don't even know if they're in business anymore. But let's go through the story here, and it's like I say, it's an old book. And the war between the house of Saul and the house of David was long. And David kept growing stronger, while the house of Saul were continuously growing weaker. And sons were born to David in Hebron. And his firstborn was Amnon of Avinoam, the Jezreelites. And his second, Hilab of Abigail, the wife of Naval the Carmelite. And the third, Absalom, the son of Macha, the daughter of Talmai, the king of Geshur. So he took another wife. And the fourth, Adonijah, the son of Haggit. And the fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abital. And the sixth, which is Itriam of Igla, David's wife. These were born to David, so now you see that David has several wives. They were born to him while he was in Hebron. And it was while there was a war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner was exerting great effort to support the house of Saul. So we see that the main candle, that is his name, Av is father, Ner, of candles, is the father of candles. And he is a light giver, but he's a soldier and he kills. Difficult to understand. Their job, though, is to spread Torah, to bring Torah into a world that doesn't know it, doesn't realize it exists. Now Saul had a concubine whose name was Ritzpah, the daughter of Ayah. And he said, why did you go into my father's concubine? Why did you go into my concubine? And why did you sleep with my father's concubine? And Ever became very angry at the words of Ishbosheth. And he said, am I the head of the dogs which belong to Judah? Shall I do kindness today with the house of Saul your father to his brothers and to his friends, as I have done until now? And I have not delivered you into David's hand? Let me lift this up just a little bit here. And he says, where are we? And you charge me today with the guilt concerning the woman? I'm not sure exactly what the story is here, so we'll follow along. God do so to Abner, and so may he continue to him. For as the Lord was sworn to David, for shall I do to him, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan to Beersheba. And he could not answer Abner another word, because of his fear of him. Now, I'm not sure that I understood that, but I do understand the last part. He accused Avner. I'm not sure what the sin was that he was talking about, of living with his father's concubine. I'm not sure what that was. I didn't refer, I'm just reading. And he could not answer Avner another word because of his fear of him, and that's the main part. And Avner sent messengers to David from his place, saying, to whom the land belongs, saying this, make your covenant with me. And behold, my hand is with you to bring all Israel to you. So Avner now is saying that he's the power. Let me try to push this a little bit differently. There we go. And he could make a deal with David. And he said, good, I shall make a covenant to you. But one thing I ask of you, namely, that you shall not see my face until you first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when you come to see my face. And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, saying, give my wife Michal, whom I espoused to myself, with 100 foreskins of Philistines. In other words, listen to the language, because we're seeing here that the concept of sexual purity is really, really important here. And so he says that the war with the Philistines were people who were uncircumcised. In order to get their foreskins, he had to kill them. So give my wife Michal, whom I espoused to myself, with 100 foreskins of Philistines. So in other words, she is betrothed to him. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from a man from Paltiel, the son of Laish. And her husband went with her, walking and weeping after her. Now listen to this story. Give my wife Michal, whom I espoused to myself, with 100 foreskins of Philistines. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from a man. She was living with a man at that time. Now why he said from Paltiel, whose name was Paltiel, the son of Laish. And knowing that his wife is going to be taken away from her, and her husband went with her, walking and weeping after her, until they came to the place called Baurim. And Abner said to him, let me bring this up, it's just a little bit too low. And Abner said to him, go, return. He returned. And the word of Abner had been with the elders of Israel, saying, in times past you were seeking David as king over you. You wanted him to be your king. And now do it. For God said about David, saying, by the hand of my bondsman David, bondsman in other words is saying servant David, shall I deliver my people Israel from the hand of the Philistines and from the hand of all of their enemies. He's the one. He's the warrior. He's the one that can defeat them. And after Abner spoke also in the ears of Benjamin, so he spoke to all the people. And Abner also went to speak in David's ears in Hebron. So he went to speak personally with David in Hebron. All that pleased Israel and the entire house of Benjamin. So this was good. Everybody liked this. And Abner came to David to Hebron, and with him were 20 men. And David made a feast for Abner and for the men who were with him. And Abner said to David, I shall get up and go and gather all Israel to my lord, the king, and they will make a covenant with you, and you will reign over all that your soul desires. Now, I had a question about something he said here. He said, I shall get up and go and gather all Israel to my lord the king. Okay, that means David. And they will make a covenant with you. Let's go on. And David sent Avner off, and he went in peace. Behold, David's servants and Joab came from pursuing a troop, and they brought much plunder with them. Now, what troop we're talking about, I don't know. So he says, now Avner was not with David, for he had sent him off, and he had gone in peace. And Joab and all the army which were with him came, and they told Joab, saying, Avner the son of Ner came to the king, and he sent him off, and he went in peace. Now remember that Joab's brother was killed by Avner. And Joab came to the king and said, what have you done? Behold, Avner came to you. Why have you sent him off, so that he has gone? And you know Avner the son of Ner, that he has come to entice you, and to know you're going out and you're coming in, to know all that you are doing, because he's an enemy, he's a blood enemy. And Joab departed from David, and he sent messengers after Avner, and they brought him back from the well of the thorns, and David did not know. So here we see Joab acting independently of his king. And Avner returned to Hebron, and Joab caused him to turn aside unwittingly into the midst of the gate to speak with him. So he caused him to look at something, and he struck him there, under the fifth rib, and he died for the blood of Asahel, his brother. He took vengeance. David heard afterwards, and he said, I and my kingdom are innocent before the Lord forever of the blood of Abner the son of Ner. May it rest upon the head of Joab and upon all his father's house. And may there not fail from the house of Joab one who has an issue, or one who is smitten with zarat, or one who leans on a staff, or who falls by the sword, or who lacks bread. Now Joab and Abishai, his brother, slew Abner. Why did they do that? Because he put Asahel, their brother, to death in Gibeon in the battle. And David said to all the people who were with him, rend your clothes. In other words, he used to tear their garments as a sign of mourning. The Jews still do that. Rend your clothes and gird yourselves with sackcloth, and wail before Avner. And King David went after the bier. So he followed him, and they buried Avner in Hebron. And the king raised his voice and went on Avner's grave. He stood on the grave, and all the people wept. And the king lamented Avner and said, should Avner die like a wicked man? Your hands were not bound, and your feet were not put into copper chains. As one who falls before wicked men, you have fallen. And all the people continued to weep over him. And all the people came to serve David bread while it was still daytime. Now, one of the things that part of Jewish ritual is that after a burial, then we have a meal. But David, that's still sort of like to reinaugurate the fact that we're still here in this world. We start eating instead. But David swore, saying, God do so to me, and so continue, if before sunset I taste bread or anything. And all the people recognized it, and it was pleasing in their eyes. All which the king did was pleasing in the eyes of all the people. And all the people and all Israel knew on that day that it was not of the king to put to death Abner the son of Ner. That was never his intention. And the king said to his servants, do you not know that a prince and a great man has fallen this day in Israel? But today I am tender and just anointed king. Just. And these men, the sons of Zeruiah, are harder than I. May the Lord requite the evildoer according to his evil. This is Baruch Fleischman. These are the life and times of our King, King David, the master of the psalm, the master of the song.